Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Echoes in the Dark. Tonight, we are going to have some fun. We've got some people with us today that I think you're going to really enjoy. We've got Pinion hanging out with us, and then we've also got Cordovan hanging out with us tonight. We are also going to be doing a Throne of the Dread Tier 1 run. Really just for time constraint reasons. We could do Tier 2, but we want to showcase the whole raid, so yeah. So what we're gonna do is let me go ahead and bring these guys back on here. 1 second. All right, you guys still with me?
Yep.
Yep. All right. Well, since I don't have the Discord badges, if you guys can go ahead and introduce yourselves, and so people can put a face to a name. Well, really a voice to a name, I should say.
Well, I'm Ryan Pank. I go by Pinion on the LOTRO forums. I'm a content designer on LOTRO, and I've mostly worked on landscape content as well as some instance content.
And Jerry Snook, community manager, Lord of the Rings Online. Thanks for being here.
Nah, everybody knows who you are.
I know.
All right, so let me go ahead and switch over to game here, and then we'll get this Throne of the Dreadterror fired up. So let's see here. Get this going. Let me let them know to go ahead and fire this up. All right. So how long has it been since we've had this one out? It's been about 4-5 months now?
I think just about 5.
Just about
I
5
think
now?
we launched it on July 5th, if I recall right.
Yeah, something like that.
I'm being told, let's do this fast and clean. Okay. All right. No pressure.
What,
no
you
pressure.
don't want to exploit with 2 people from Turbine in the room? No? Yeah.
No, I think they were just referring to no wipes on Tier 1.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's every Raider's dream.
Right. Let's see. Just check real quick. Can everybody hear you guys okay? I think all the sounds should be good this time around. It's always fun coordinating so many different pieces of audio.
Yep.
Okay.
If I was a troll, I could be like, I did it. But
What? No.
Yep.
So, all right, Pinion. Tell us a little bit about yourself, other than the content designer. Like, what was your first non-landscape piece of content that you worked on?
The first thing I did on LOTRO at all wasn't landscape. I actually worked on adding a few quests to the Yule Festival way back in Update 5 when we were still in the Isengard expansion. So that was when I added like the Snow Beast quest, the Snowmen little event, and I think there was a third, but I can't remember what it is right now.
All right. And then, what, hang on, I'm getting tells, hold on. Let's see. There we go. So, what was really the progression for you? What did it look like coming in, say, like, first day Turbine to today? What did that look like for you?
All right, so
Story time with Pinion.
It was quite a journey. So I came in about, I want to say, early August of 2010 as a QA tester for the game. I worked on that for several months, and then I had expressed an interest in filling a spot for someone who was moving to another job, and they basically were our beta coordinator. So they organized all the Palantir, Bullroar events, that sort of stuff. Like they helped deliver feedback to the developers directly from Palantir and so forth.
Okay.
So I took that on. It gave me a much closer relationship with the developers. And after several months of doing that as well, I interviewed for content design, which was important to me because I love writing and I love the world of Tolkien. So I applied for that, and I was fortunate enough to get the job. and I've been doing that since late 2011.
All right.
And then once I was on the team, there was the I've worked on it since update 5. So I did the Yule Festival stuff. I worked on Great River. Did a bit for the Moria revamp. I don't know how detailed you want me to go. I could really go update by update if you want.
Hey, I'm impressed that you remember all of it that well, that detailed. You know, so if you know, we can kind of bring it a little bit more towards the you know, the Pelennor instances, Throne of the Dread Terror, and even the Osgiliath stuff.
Yep.
So, because I know you had a hand in that, and you even got a didn't you get a quest in there with maybe a reference to your name?
Oh yeah, yeah. I snuck that one into the Dome of Stars, mostly because I loved the character of Rook, so I was glad to give him a little more of a character arc
Sure.
through the instance. Yeah, 16 was, I think that was our first. Was that our first cluster after?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, after a while from like the Rohan content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a thing that we had all felt strongly about making, so that was a really exciting time. Some of us were fairly new to creating instances, myself included, having only made Seed of the Great Goblin before that. And I think Osgiliath turned out great, and we learned a lot of lessons and went forward from there.
Alright, I just gotta make sure I get to grab the right tank here. Okay, there we go. I'm guessing I'm with the jumping one. There we go. Alright, sorry. Good.
I was just going to say, going on from there, we had the Pelennor instances, and at the same time, we were sort of cooking up the raid in the background after I mentioned in the developer diary that had been something that was sort of simmering from the early days of Update 17. And we knew we wanted to do it, and we especially wanted to do it for the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, and we were just trying to figure out the right spot to put it in.
And that seems to always be the case. I've heard that over the years. Is, you know, you always want to do content that fits the story, and you want to do content that, you know, makes sense. You don't want to do just, you know, a landscape quest just because you want to do it, or just to do a raid just because you want to do it. You want to have the proper game space for it.
Yep.
And so what does that look like from a development piece? Where, like, how do you guys determine, you know, what makes sense? Like, what does that whole process look like?
Basically, it all comes down to a lot of discussion between designers and artists, ultimately. At the core, it's conversation between the design teams, basically trying to figure out how we could justify it, like how we put this in the middle of the day on the Battle of the Pelennor Fields, or just like what would be there, like what would make this stand out opposed to any other like tier of content.
Right.
Like, oh, we could have, I'm like, not easily, but sure, you could make like any instance could be a raid, but they might not have the set pieces that would really sell it, I guess.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we got Rakatha's down.
Grats.
Anybody get anything? Wait.
And yeah, as someone in the chat pointed out, yeah, we wanted to make sure that any piece of content we do now is really heavily connected to the storyline. Like, even I've raided in the past, and if a raid feels disconnected, it just doesn't work for me, in my opinion.
In something like even the Osgiliath instances, let's take it back a few updates here. What kind of challenges do you have designing something like that to where, you know, everybody feels that they have a place in that? Especially like when you design. Did you have your hand in the 3-mans, or was it more specifically the 6 during Osgiliath?
Just the 6.
Just the 6? Okay. How about for Pelennor?
For Pelennor, I did the Blood of the Black Serpent and Silent Street.
Okay.
And I know Blood of the Black Serpent is a bit polarizing because of the mounted combat.
Yeah.
I still think it incorporated it in a way we hadn't before.
There's a question in chat that I think that's kind of interesting about, say, this one is concerning the Osgiliath instances, but I think it applies just in a general design sense. You know, players have found a way to avoid a certain amount of trash mob fights. Did the players find an exploit? That whole idea of is it intended or an exploit is always a tough one to answer. I'm guessing, and perhaps you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Pinion, but, you know, we try to direct a certain amount of our content, but at the same time, you know, we're not making a movie here. So you do your best, you know, to kind of design things in a certain way, but, you know, whenever you're dealing with something like a large MMO, or frankly any game, I mean, just look at any game in the market, but particularly with an MMO with thousands of people doing different tactics and builds and that, you know, you can only plan for so much, right? So then it comes down to usually a point of, you know, how are they getting around it? You know, do they find a break in our terrain, perhaps? If that's an issue, then yeah, that's more of an exploit, something we might need to fix. But if it's really just a matter of, oh, we didn't really expect that a certain combination might be able to accomplish that or something like that. Typically, you know, it's kind of a judgment call in a per case scenario there.
Yep. Sure. If that's referring to one of the spaces that I think it might be, then that one is probably closer to an exploit. But for the Dome of Stars, some of the pulls were intentionally skippable. They were more there as a hazard if you were not clean on a certain pull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like with those pieces of content, I guess you might be able to still speak to it since you are a designer. So something like a 3-man instance, I know those can typically, maybe for some people they can feel a little out of place, basically. Just because you probably have a lot of players, and myself included. I'll throw myself into this mix that, you know, believed in the Holy Trinity, man. It was you had your tank, seals, and DPS, and LOTRO was very unique from the get-go in that it had a support class or support classes, and you know, I think some of that was addressed really with something like the trait tree changes with Helm's Deep, where people had more roles to fill and different roles to fill. And do you think with 3-mans that I want to try to word this in a way that's not really messy, but what I'm really looking for is how do you guys feel about 3-mans? I obviously you feel pretty strongly about them to continue doing them, but what are the challenges in designing content like that where it is group based, but you still have challenge content as well?
Well, that was actually something while you were asking it, I was thinking about things that I had noticed after we released the first part of the Pelennor fields. I think we've pushed a little too hard for the Trinity in 3-mans recently. I would prefer for us to use some sort of mechanic to allow more players in and still be punishing in a different way, but not necessarily require the Trinity or having like, a specific tank for a fight. Like, obviously it makes sense to have like a powerful creature need a tank, but I don't want to limit our class makeups for 3-mans because they should be maybe the most accessible of all of our content, and in some ways they can end up being not very accessible at all on tier 2, especially. So yeah, I saw that as sort of a thing that we'll keep in mind for the future, because looking back at them, I wasn't thrilled with how aggressively difficult they were for non-Trinity groups.
Okay. Yeah, and that's something we've even noticed, like, with, you know, certain groups, they, even with the same players, you know, different, using their different classes, like, we found a very optimal way of doing the Keys of Harland with a even 2 champs and a captain, which just sounds kind of goofy, but it works out extremely well. And I think it kind of stretches you to think a little bit outside of what might be normal.
Yep. Yeah, three mans definitely lend themselves to more like puzzly type elements for groups.
Ooh.
Oh man, the Mumak fight.
Yep. Oh, there's one down.
That was the last fight to come in for the raid, and then I had an idea pop into my head, and it was it turns out, funnily enough, that the thing that inspired me for this fight was actually a boss fight from Mega Man X1.
Really?
Yep.
All right.
It was the spider boss from the first level of the Sigma Fortress in Mega Man X1.
Well, now I'm gonna have to go watch it.
Yeah, so basically that was where I got the idea for the stampeding Mumaks and just sort of tweaked it from there.
So, like, for this fight specifically, ooh, actually, speaking of stampeding, back up a little bit. It's kind of interesting to me because this particular fight has such a large field of play, and that's not something we've really seen before. I mean, how did you think of designing this into, you know, what were your thoughts about, like, where are the players really gonna be? Are they gonna end up all over the place, or, you know, like, how does that play in from you actually knowing how to play as well, and like how you would approach playing that content? What does that look like?
I mean, for this one, I figured that the groups would be moving. I know there would ultimately be spots that were better than others to stand in this fight, just by virtue of how I set up the paths for the Mumaks. But yeah, I wanted you to have enough room to kite them around to some extent. People seem to tank them more, but I originally had designed them to be kited, but I'm not disappointed with how things turned out. The size of the arena actually became a bit of a problem for some of the monsters. They weren't responding correctly early on Bull Roarer, so that was a huge challenge for this one. Turns out our monsters don't like big spaces as much as other more confined boss spaces.
Fair enough. Let's see here. So I gotta keep an eye out for some arrows. This is the fun part of actually carrying on a conversation while still trying to keep myself alive. Alright, last Mumak coming in. Kind of along with content design, how challenging do you find it to actually create the distinction between tier 2 challenge, or tier 1, tier 2, and tier 2 challenge?
Well, the distinction between tier 1 and tier 2 is mostly done under the hood, other than certain skills. We can easily set certain skills to be tier 2 only, which is very helpful. Especially if we just want a more powerful version of the same skill to be on tier 2 and shut off the tier 1 version. So that tier 1 to tier 2 is easier because it has a specific thing under the hood that controls it. Challenge is a bit more challenging.
Even for you.
Yeah, since it's not a separate tier like a tier 3 skirmish or something, we mostly have to do that through some sort of logic or a specific thing that would relate to a mechanic in the encounter. So like for Rakithos, it obviously had to end up dealing with the powder kegs, and Vadakar was not swapping the not having him absorb fire and shadow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little more difficult to change things up a ton on a challenge run. There are ways to do it, but it's not super easy compared to the tier 1 to tier 2 change.
Okay.
Yeah, tier 1 to tier 2 is pretty straightforward. Yeah, there's a lot of things we can control.
Is it, even with the challenge, is it kind of even more like, just how creative do I want to be with this? And
pretty much. Yeah, like the challenges are in a way like the chance for you to be most creative on, or like call out the mechanic on the boss fight that you really want to focus on. So to some extent, figuring out your challenge is actually super helpful to nailing down what you want the boss to actually feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Even on tier 1 and tier 2. Because it should be a teaching experience on some level on tier 1 and tier 2.
Okay. Let's see here. So, I mean, it would kind of seem that you are a fan of the traditional instance-based content. It seems like you like that quite a bit.
I do.
I'm going to kind of completely segue using that to, in any game, open it up all the way. What has been your favorite dungeon of sorts? Like, I mean, it could be from like an MMO, it could be from a single player like RPG, or really anything. What do you think your most? We'll go with most memorable, maybe even.
Give me a minute to think on that.
No problem. No problem. Let's see. I just love this part with the gauntlets. I always love gauntlets. They're fun.
That's kind of a hard question, because are you really talking about your favorite moment in any video game, or are you talking about a specific type of content?
Dungeon, instance, whatever terminology you'd like to use for that. So something along the lines of the traditional style of group content that we're doing right now. And Jerry, if you've got one too, go for it.
I know, I'm trying to think of this as well. That's kind of an impossible question. I mean, I've been playing video games for a long time, so
I can actually
like thousands of different things, right?
Well, I can tell you what mine is. Maybe that'll help. Because I actually have two. My most memorable in the most recent years, and I'm talking about in the last 10 years, has been the first time I ever did the Rift. It was because LOTRO is actually my first MMO. I really had no idea what I got myself into, and I met so many good people along the way that it just really stuck, and it just made it that much more impactful. But once I finally got up to level 50, I got yanked into a raid. They're like, "All right, well, you're level 50. You're coming with us." I'm like, "All right, cool. What are we doing?" They're like, "All right, well, do you have about 4 or 5 hours?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." And like, cool, because we're gonna go do this big multi-boss thing out in Angmar. I'm like, "All right, tell me more." And they said, "Well, it's the current quote-unquote end game. This is like what you build for, essentially at that time, and that's what we're gonna go do." I'm like, "All right, sounds fun." Little did I know, even the first fight for me with bars, I was literally shaking. Like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Where am I supposed to stand? Do I use this now? Am I supposed to stand by this person? Oh my god, we're gonna die. That was my experience through that, and it just had such a profound impact on me. Like, when we were finally done, I was like, I want to do that again. That was fun. So that memory right there, and then kind of in conjunction with that was actually beating the Balrog for the very first time. That was just I got in trouble for that because I was still at my parents' house because I was a wee lad at the time, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I kind of screamed very loudly because we had been at it for quite some time, and I woke up my parents, and they were not very happy about it. But so yeah. So that's the absolute most memorable, or is that moment for me?
I think MMO-wise, I'll probably go with the original version of Karazhan in World of Warcraft.
All right.
I really loved that space. It was pretty early on in my raiding days, but I thought the atmosphere of it was perfect.
I remember trying to get that mount out of the first boss there. Farmed it day, like every time it was reset, I'd go try to get that mount. I think I got it last year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, it's not a group thing, but I love Darkest Dungeon as a game. That's just a fantastic, soul-crushingly difficult game.
Sometimes you need that. Cookie Mama says, raid/groups bigger than just the three of us kind of scare me. Well, just cause I get lost. Yeah, it takes some getting used to. It can be a bit much. And depending on which one you do at first, too, it can be a lot daunting. And then, you know, sometimes you just have to, you figure out that you only need to be somewhat aware of what's going on around you as far as what other people are doing. You know, a lot of times, like for myself, I will actually just have I usually have a specific role, and as long as I'm doing that, pretty okay. Meg still wants to get the unwelcome mat. Yes, we're gonna go get that still.
I still want that too.
It's such a good housing item. I love that thing.
It's got the name, that's for sure.
Yes. It's quite epic. Let's see. So do either of you do endgame group-based content currently in LOTRO?
I've done a bit. I've tried the raid very sneakily.
I bet that's fun.
We didn't do that well, but it was still fun. Yeah, I've done a bit. I haven't played as much recently just because of work on Update 19 and so on, but I've tried to keep one of my characters pretty geared out.
Yeah. All right.
No on me. Mostly because, you know, I really just came to do this community work full-time for LOTRO this summer, and prior to that I'd been working, you know, 100% on our sister game, or brother game, or however you want to call it, sibling game, Dungeons & Dragons Online, and so a lot of the effort to keep geared and at the top of my game was devoted to that, rather than splitting my time. But that is absolutely something that's one of my goals, is to get more towards the end game here and start to be able to participate in this kind of content. So,
excellent. Well, that would be very interesting to see what your thoughts are on that.
Well, hey, you know, the more groups I can kill, you know, the better. I'm sure that I will be the cause of many failures in many raids. So, hey, you know, that's just job well done.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're coming up on the Unbroken one right now, so we're kind of going through that section, and I'm sorry, but it's still one of the funniest thing to see casters completely kill themselves in this area right here. I'm sorry, it's just funny if you're a caster and you're not paying attention to which target you're hitting and you blow yourself up. I'm sorry, but it's funny.
Yep. And that's why it was designed that way.
That's fantastic, dude.
Because we've had so many harsh melee reflects, I was just like, I gotta be nice to melee this time.
Oh, it's hilarious. I'll go back, and even in some of the Moria stuff, you've got the first boss. Well, I guess not really a technical first boss in Grand Stair, but the guy that's up the lava platform. I can't tell you how many times I've queued up a Remorseless Strike, and he's had his reflect on, and I've killed myself. I mean, that's the downfall of going back and doing it at a high level. You run the risk of killing yourself.
Yep.
Well, even with Howled Valandil being in the featured instance rotation, a lot of group swiping in there because they had never done that content before, which that's really actually been really cool with the featured instance set, is getting so many people in there that had never done it before.
Was it the fire candles in there that blew themselves up?
Yeah, you get a nice reflect on those guys.
Yep, I remember running into that.
Let's see here. If the unwelcome mat had a 50 or 100% chance to drop, it would breathe new life into an old raid. I still like to go do that raid.
I disagree with that philosophy. Just me. You know, I mean, you're right. It would breathe new life into that raid for a couple of weeks until everyone had it, right?
Right.
If
Yep.
for those who were there for that thing. But rarity is not always a bad thing. Now, you know, sure, you know, you could always maybe adjust things upwards or downwards or what have you. But I don't, you know, if you find something that particularly is in demand that's rare, you don't necessarily just want to say, now everyone can have it, because that just makes it less cool, right?
Yeah. Gotta have some special stuff out there. Hey, that's what I was kind of upset that you could actually get the Cloak of the Steadfast cosmetically, and that was a one-time thing from the Amarthriel tax back in the day. I was happy to have that one, but now you can just get it.
Right.
You win some, you lose some. It's all good. But just a little side note to the guys I'm running this raid with. This is actually the kinship we got this on Arkenstone, and this is a great group of people. They've invited me on a bunch of runs, both tier 1 and tier 2. They'll pull me in for challenge fights and stuff like that on occasion, which has been really cool. These guys actually have recently completed the entire raid on tier 2 challenge, so props to those guys on that too.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, they finally got their meta done. It's good to see. Oh yes, I'm sorry. It's we got this -1. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I think I saw them in the progression thread the other day.
Yeah, super good group of people. Love playing with these guys. And honestly, that's one of my favorite things about group content. Honestly, I don't necessarily care if I win or lose, but I just have a blast playing with people and meeting new people.
Yep. Yeah, the group can really make it.
Yeah, sometimes there might be a little too much alcohol involved, and we do some really dumb stuff. But hey, you know, it comes with the territory, right? Halfpint said one of my forever favorite group instances from any game will be Dragok. I've yet to see the new LOTRO player see that place and not be impressed, even hardcore experienced players. And when they freak out when the FM start rolling, right? Yeah, that was I love that one. It was such a unique experience. So what kind of I actually reread through your Return of the Raid post, and I thought it was kind of interesting, like what kind of things you drew. Inspiration from for this raid, and I just thought that was kind of interesting that, you know, you always have your favorite elements, and you have your own style and your own way of doing things. And honestly, I've been playing the game since 2007, and honestly, I would say, and I'm not saying this just because you're in here, this is honestly one of my favorite things to do now. I would say for me personally, it is up there with the Rift, which still is my all-time favorite. But yeah,
thank you though. That's really nice to hear.
And I know a lot of people. We talk about it all the time. Like when we're talking to other gamers and bringing them in. Like, yep, we just got a new raid, and it's a lot of fun. And you know, going from tier 1 up to tier 2 challenge. Like, there's something for everybody here. Yeah, it's been great. I mean, to see the amount of people doing this, always seems to be somebody asking for it in World Chat, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I've been thrilled to see posts still coming in the progression thread after almost 5 months. So
yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. It's tough.
It's fantastic just to see that people are still excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, this boss was my intentional roadblock for challenge mode.
Oh, it was. Which way are they doing this? Oh, they're bringing them out for this. Okay. All right. See, on tier 2 challenge would keep them up there. Or tier 2. Sorry, not tier 2 challenge. So how did you get the wild idea for 200 corruptions?
It started from me thinking that I wanted a boss that didn't have to deal with health and still had something everyone could contribute to.
Okay.
And basically we had a few options there, and I was like, well, every class has corruption removal, and I also key a lot of his skills off of corruption removals because you can't make him work in the same way that a normal monster works because he doesn't actually lose health.
Right.
At least to a meaningful degree. Yeah, so I basically wanted to do something that didn't revolve around a monster having a specific amount of health, and I just wanted him to be defeated in a different way, and in a way that could sort of feed into the rest of the mechanics, like his own corruption sort of seeping out into the other ads in the group.
Yeah, this is I remember the first time I came in here, we were kind of like reading through some of the posts that other people had done, and we just saw even like the health amount, but then it's like, really? How are we supposed to deal with that? And it was very interesting to seeing how, you know, even on tier 1, very unique fight. Like the mechanics here.
Yeah, this one was probably my favorite one to design, because I knew I could go pretty weird because of having the nameless involved, so I tried to go all out.
Never know what those guys are capable of. I still have nightmares of Gurvon down in the Foundations of Stone. Right.
Yeah, didn't he have a nasty debuff too? I forget exactly what it did, but I remember it was pretty harsh.
Well, the zone itself had the debuff, and then when you were in the darkness, but then he threw out an additional one.
Yep.
But yeah, your inductions took forever, and so you wanted to have much higher attack duration, or much lower, however you want to say it. You wanted reduced attack duration. Yeah, that was fun too.
Yeah, Dark Delvings was neat.
Yeah, and very stressful.
Yes.
So I don't know if you'll be able to answer this one or not, but are there things that you wanted to do with this raid specifically that just didn't quite make it in, either due to time or due to just like design choice?
maybe a couple polish things, but for the most part, I was actually able to get everything I wanted to get in for it.
Okay, cool.
Maybe a bit more difficulty for the trash, and then tune that, but because I know that there were people who pointed out that the trash wasn't quite as complex as Orthanc or Ostunhoth, and that's fair. But maybe that would have been the only thing I really wanted to put more time into.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, with what was it, Odie and Tower of Orthanc, we actually had the using the target markers.
Yep.
To really kind of help people design consistent guides.
Yep.
I remember reading that was kind of one of the goals with that. That was a pretty cool concept too. It was, you're always going to attack the arrow first, or you're always going to go for the sun first.
Yep.
Don't touch the moon.
Yeah, I mean, if that's something that people would like to see return, I'm open to that. I actually took it out for this because people could still mark targets, but I felt like it almost took you out of the space as like an actual thing. Like for me, it made it almost too gamey.
Okay.
Like from the outset, because obviously you can still mark them yourselves, but it took away from the visuals for me, which was the main reason that I was against leaving it in, but I could always bring it back.
Alright, is there a dude in here? Yep, I'm not gonna swing away. I'm gonna kill myself. Not with this group. Oh wait, no, there are no... Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Yes, bleeding ears. Let's see here. So are you pretty happy with how the story intertwined with the raid?
Yeah.
That's a pretty straightforward question, but
Yeah, I am. Obviously, it was pretty tough because we had so many different story threads going on at once during Update 18. We kind of had to sort of stretch the limits of the imagination to put this dead in the middle, but I think ultimately it still works as a place in the story that fits into the overall day.
yeah, oh no, there's a sellsword. No, don't kill myself, please. I just learned on this pull. You know what? I hit too hard. I'm not gonna do it. And any engineers that heard me to say I hit too hard don't get any ideas.
It's okay. You're a champion. You're good with me.
Yeah, you hear that, Zingor? You've been trying to get me nerfed for 3 years now.
It's okay. I don't design that. I can play favorites and it doesn't matter.
Excellent. Alright, so we are coming up. Oh, I actually have that music on. It's actually very nice to see. We got about 70 folks in here right now watching, so it's nice to see that. There's the late night interest in the rating. It's good to see. Let's see here. Just making our way to the two Nazgul. I think we've got like 1 or 2 more pulls down here in the road.
Nice.
All right. Got 1 more? They bringing them? Yeah, there's Gussie. Gussie, how you doing? Yeah, morning. We got that chant flag out. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, if there just happened to be a misclick in the office and you guys deleted the champion class, it's okay. No.
Gonna have to pass on that one.
I'm being told they're gonna pull a platoon out of the middle just for fun.
I was kind of hoping.
I wouldn't put it past them. I just gotta watch out for those cell swords. Yeah, I remember the first time we came in here, we didn't know any better, so it kind of ran up the middle, and we actually got 2 side pulls and a middle pull. It did. I don't think we even felt it. It was quick.
Yep. Yeah, it was like if you manage to pull one of those on tier 2, you're probably gonna have a bad time.
I think you sneeze on one of those groups and you're done for. Leave me alone, Meg. It's not like you wouldn't play all of your other classes like a champ. You can't prove it. Yeah, you can. I do. I even play my LM like a champ. Okay. I'm just waiting for this middle pull. I think they're pulling the side groups first still. Gussie? You know Gussie loves the Grey Company. Yeah, she'll do anything for some additional Grey Company story items. I'm sure if you actually put a Grey Company property guard out there of all variations, she would do whatever she could to get the entire set. Just saying.
Well, I won't make any promises, but I'll definitely bring it up with the team.
Oh no, Meg! I will heal in my RK like a champ. Yep. It doesn't even make sense, but I'll do it. Yes, Gussie would never leave home. That's correct. We're gonna get a cardboard cutout of one of the Grey Company, and we're gonna have to put Pinion's face on it now. Ah, here it comes. All right. Oh boy, I'm a real boy. There's cell swords in there. I can't see. Oh, there's the fear, and guess I'll find out if I swing. Oh boy, oh, that was a crit. I like that. Looks like the raid leader's gonna pull another group. Yep, there we go. Alright, we're just gonna go have fun now. Oh boy, that was a lot of devs. More yellow, please. Now they're just toying with me. They just want me to shing shing. Oh, we lost a champ. Wasn't me though. I don't see a cell sword. I wonder where he died to. So much shing, yes. That's right, Mornio. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that shing. Oh, Pinion, I'm guessing you probably actually didn't see what's actually on the sleeves of my shirt then.
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, Here, I'll, you'll see it in a second there. Alright, so we got everything now.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah!
Shing shing forever.
Yes. Alright, so here we got the Nazgul. This is a cool fight. I like the mechanics in here too. Very easy if you're not paying attention to get overwhelmed.
Yes. And yeah, for this fight, I wanted it more to focus on both of them manipulating other things that were in the arena.
Yeah.
And crawlers seemed like a perfect option.
I agree. So, this might be a oddly self-serving question for you and myself, but how is this actually watching this raid live?
Really satisfying. It's nice to see everyone having a good time with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's nice to see a run that isn't either like solo on my admin client or just video. It's nice to see it live. Or 8 seconds shy of live.
Yes, Halfpint, I do have extra shing shing should any of the dev team want to get in on that action. Yes, I do. I have extra shirts.
Deadman123 says, why crawlers?
A couple reasons. We had done a lot with shades in Silent Street. We'd done a lot with whites in Silent Street as well. We haven't really used crawlers as like a harbinger of dead in a while. And I thought they would really thematically work with the Nazgul here because of them like bringing this terrible force to bear on the field. And just like all the dead that were already there by the time they arrived. It's almost infesting Pelennor in a way.
Gross.
Yep. And yeah, I was worried we'd be overusing the other typical monsters we've associated with the Nazgul. So I wanted something that wouldn't take away from their appearance either.
You gotta do the those sickly boars from Bree.
Yeah.
Or the more of the cold bear-esque bears that have like their ribs exposed and
Yep.
are all gross.
Yeah, that would have been an option too. I just wanted things that were on the smaller side. Even the ads in this fight are relatively subdued in appearance, just because I didn't want to take away from the two Nazgul.
Right. And down goes Frasier. I'm not Frasier.
Frasier.
All right, heading into the Gothmog sequence.
Oh boy.
First time I did this, I just remember thinking, like, how much longer is this? This is amazing.
Yep. I had originally planned for the whole first phase to have mechanics too, and then I ultimately decided against it because I was like, no, that's not really the point, and he's holding back at that point anyway.
He's got an entire legion back there. Angela Bratt, thank you for a follow over on my personal channel. I appreciate that.
Nasty or whatever, Nasty.
Nasty.
Its keybind file will not update. I'm not sure on that one. I doubt Pinion has the answer to that too, unless you happen to know why sometimes the keybind file isn't updating.
I don't.
Yeah, my guess would be it's worth making sure that whatever directory it's being saved to is writable. That might be something to look into, especially if it hasn't changed since 2014. You may want to look to see, whether or not you may have some kind of technical issue on your end happening there. Otherwise, it's just something I'm going to have to look into further. One-time permits here.
Quarterman, what are you talking about? You got all the time in the world, don't you? I mean...
Well, I've got the microchip implanted in my head, so let me access the file. I don't know. I mean, keybind files are updating for other folks, right? I assume.
I would hope so.
Yeah. So I'm going to assume it's probably, like I said, maybe where you're trying to save it, it's not writing correctly. You might want to check the Windows user access control if you're assuming you're using Windows. As to the root directory of where that is, and I'd have to look up where that root directory, the keybind file, is stored. Probably somewhere in your install path, wherever that is.
Yeah, this will be fairly close to an hour.
Yeah, this section here was something that we sort of put together fairly early on in the development for the raid. I basically wanted to do a very heavy story thing as part of Gothmog's fight. So I thought of all the places you had encountered him in the past in his various personas, and our world builders were able to very handily stitch them together in sort of a nightmare sequence.
Oh, it was even to this day, it still kind of messes with me with the little kind of black blinking that kind of happens in here.
Yeah.
Oh, pets just fell off. Womp womp. It made me worry because at that point in my gaming, I was actually having an issue with my my card and display, and I was just like, no, not right now. No, wait a minute. It's not everything on the screen. It's the UI is not going anywhere. Okay.
Yeah, that little flash I almost wish wasn't part of that, but I wanted the edges blurred more than anything else.
It's just your eyes blinking.
That's true.
Trying to wake up. Or you're being tortured or something like that while you're dreaming. Oh, Marthiel. Oh, I won't, Devdor. Your secret's safe with me, but not the other 70 people watching. Uh-oh. Ooh, I am good at flying in the air. Landed on the other side of the gap.
So what was the unbroken one your favorite encounter in here? Which one stood out to you as your favorites?
This is actually, I think they're also unique in each of their own rights. But standing out by itself, Yeah, I think the Unbroken one is pretty awesome. It just honestly, I like the mechanic with it because it's so different. And the artwork of him, the whole like the binders and him being in that cage. I think that the whole setup is good in that one. I like that a lot. Um, but I don't know. Anytime I get to fight Nazgul, I'm happy. So I like that. I really like that as well. Um, yeah, those two are probably my two favorites for sure.
Cool.
Actually, how you get in everybody in chat? If you have done this raid, what are your favorite boss fights in this encounter? It's always interesting to see all the different opinions of stuff like that. Alright, let's see if any of the casters die. Because there's some sorcerers. Everyone loves Mumax on Tier 2 challenge mode. I bet they do. Oh, we had a Capigo link lost. Oh, the captain.
Since Chromite was helpful to someone in chat, let me ask you, Pinion, if you know. Do you think hunters should have the ability to remove further corruption than their current corruption over time?
I actually am not familiar with their current corruption removal skill.
Yeah, me neither.
What is the functionality of the skill?
He was just saying, let me see if I can go back and chat here. Okay, hunters have 1 minute between skill usage because the second corruption removal we have relies on morale level.
Ah, yes, because it's a merciful shot.
I mean, there might be something there, but that would be more of a question for systems than me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting when you look at the different things, like, and I don't want to dive too much into that, but, like, the difference between some of the classes removals and, like, how potent one is versus how long a cooldown might be. Very interesting when you actually have a boss that is, like the Unbroken one, that is so heavily dependent on those skills. And having the gear actually reflect that as well, getting that extra corruption removal.
Yeah, I guess that's something to look into going forward. If the skills don't change, it might just come down to designing fights so that everyone has something to do. Where in the Unbroken one, it doesn't really benefit you to damage the ads when you're doing the challenge mode before he's down. So yeah, it might just be a balancing of mechanics at that point.
Yeah, because they wouldn't actually be able to use theirs because even traded, I don't remember what the percentage is, but by default you gotta be at like 30 or 50%. So those hunters would actually never be able to use Merciful Shot.
Yeah, there's no way in that encounter. So yeah, that would just be something we'll have to keep in mind going forward.
In general, though, it's always challenging to. I mean, you know, there is a certain class balance thing too, where you can't necessarily make everything good for every encounter when you're trying to deal with an entire game-wide system.
Oh, you know? Absolutely not. But
at the same time, right?
Blind spots sometimes.
Yeah. You know, I know Chromite does want us to get into the kind of hunters not wanted in his raid groups issue. But I don't, you know, we've already talked about that quite a bit on the forums, and I'm not sure really how much. I think that's more of a systems question than really a content question. But I guess in general, you know, how do you, when you approach an encounter, try to make as wide a variety of classes, you know, feel useful in something like this?
A lot of it comes down to arena skills, like environmental hazards that are set, sort of like the fires and shadow pools on Vatikar, as well as the skill packages for the bosses themselves. We sort of have to try really hard to strike a balance between being harsh but not overly harsh to one group of players, whether it's melee, ranged, a support character. Like it's difficult. Like that's one of the major challenges as you get to higher numbered groups of people. Like for raids, it's very easy to find something very devastating against one class or type of class in particular. So it's basically just an ongoing learning process of what can we do to sort of be difficult but not overly harsh to one specific type of player. And right now we're obviously still working towards that, but it's going to be an ongoing thing forever.
Right.
Sure.
I can handle a question about. So Chromite does follow up saying the problem is hunters have been a blind spot for years and years now. Well, I mean, we have done some work on the hunters. We did it in update 19 here, and we're going to be doing further work in the future. Probably, perhaps it may be not until Mordor or something like that. It really just kind of depends on what kind of time our systems devs can carve out to be able to work further on the hunter and some of the other classes that the community would like us to take a look at. But class balance is similar to what you were saying there. It's an ongoing, never-ending process. So hopefully, in terms of being blind for years, no, because we've already been doing some work on it. So clearly someone's been working on it. But have we gone far enough? Presumably, I would assume that you're saying no. And we do have further plans to look both at Hunter and other classes when we can carve out that time. Our systems devs, let's just say they don't. If we wanted to chain them to a desk and somehow feed them intravenously, they could probably spend the rest of their lives working on things and still not address everyone's wants there. But that's just the reality of sort of development work in a large game like this. Besides, they probably wouldn't want us to do that.
I don't think
Unless
so.
we gave them coffee. Maybe if we gave them enough coffee, they'd be okay. I don't know.
What if Gussie sends food?
Yeah, there you go.
I know Half Pint will send food as well. So I have a question, and this is kind of like, this is more one of those hypotheticals. This isn't something I ever anticipate even entering into the game. More just like, what are your thoughts on it? And like, so as a content designer and working on group content, do you ever do anything with PvP?
Me personally, no. I made some of the quests for Osgiliath, if I'm recalling right, but
Okay.
I did some setup work and some that was ultimately cut for time constraints, unfortunately. But I haven't actually done that much work on our PvP system. It's actually much more heavily systems also, even though it might not seem that way.
And the reason I ask is because this is actually something I asked Maid of Lions a couple years ago, was about actually writing. It would end up kind of looking like arena PvP almost, but story driven. That was one of the things in other games that I really enjoyed, because it mixed all the things I love about MMOs together. It brought story, it brought instances, and it brought PvP. And it was just like, I always looked at it. We've talked about this on my streams for a long time. Was even doing like the skirmish model, almost taking some of those existing maps and actually looking at it through a PvP lens of telling a story of, the say Trouble in Tuckbrew, for example.
Yep. So having someone play like the half orc at the end of it or something.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a cool idea there, for sure. Yeah, I like that as a concept. Definitely tying in story is always high marks from me. But yeah, that's something that we could always discuss. I'm not sure how far it would get beyond a hypothetical, but
yeah,
that's a cool concept.
Yeah, that's something we've always we've. Hang on 1 second. I'll get some tiles here. Let's see. All right. Well, actually, this is just wrapping up because we're getting to the end with Gothmog here. But yeah, it was just something that we'd always talked about because it seemed like almost all the systems were even in place almost, and just kind of almost link them up in a different way. If that was even again, I could be talking to systems and not necessarily content design, but I think it'd be an interesting thing to kind of tell the story through that lens, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of those scenarios are built out story-wise anyway.
Right. We always kind of looked at it like telling a story of what it would look like, because this was even as far back as like stuff with Bree, you know, and the brigands, and much like something like Thievery and Mischief goes, but just having an alternate ending to that. I mean, I know that wouldn't have necessarily appropriate lore, but who's to say that they didn't win in that instance and then it got retaken, like it was a constant push and pull, just like the Ettenmoors is essentially.
Yep.
Yeah, just something kind of cool.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so we got our boy Imrahil coming in here,
and good old Thrym Redbeard.
Yes, and red it is. As far as a first time in here, the first time we did this, and you defeated Gothmog back there, and you get pulled back out, and you're like, wait, what happened? Like, and then, yeah, didn't actually think we were gonna go to, didn't think we were gonna go to Minas Morgul.
Not yet.
Aww. All right. And so since this is wrapping up here too, I do want to thank the kinship We Got This -1. Not gonna forget it this time. Utlas, who is the leader over there, a lot of fun running with this guy, and if you guys are on Arkenstone and looking to raid, they are certainly a good group to raid with. So highly encourage you guys, if you're on Arkenstone, if you're wanting to raid, look those guys up. They would love to run with people. They do pug runs, they do tier 2 challenge runs, they do tier 1 runs such as this. So honestly, they just love raiding, and it's good to have these guys in the community and being a positive group in the community as well. So how do we do loot wise here? Of course, since Kadithia is in the group, I probably didn't get anything. No. Oh, here come all the slappings on me. Awesome. Yes. I'll pull that out so you guys can see the sheer amount of slapping. Fantastic. Oh my goodness. Gosh. Well,
oh, that's pretty hilarious.
Yep. So, I mean, since we're coming to a close here, I mean, is there anything else that either one of you gentlemen would like to touch on before we wrap up for the evening?
Just a couple of things. You know, we do have our North Ithilien event boost that's going to start on Thursday here. I can't remember which color is going to be. I'm tempted to say something that may or may not be true, so I better not say anything. But one of the colors will definitely be dropping much more frequently after Thursday. It's a brand new event, and the very first time we've had this kind of special event in the game. So we'll have to see what the reaction is, and take a look at it. And if people like it, we can do more of it. But that's something to stay tuned on. We do have a planned update set for a little bit later this month. That's going to be 19.2, right? Yeah, 19.2. And so you can see some of that on Bull Roar right now, I think, as the time we speak, although it may be going off on Monday. But you can take a look at, say, some of the release notes that are there, too, if you're curious about what's going to be coming up in 19.2. And there will be a few more things added to it as we get closer to 19.2's release as well. Otherwise, hey, we're on Twitch. .tv/LOTRO stream, and you can find our full schedule of events there. And we'd love it if you not just watch Bludborn show, but you checked out all of our streamers as well. And I will be on Thursday at noon.
I have one thing that's coming out of Raid Chat. Where's our throne mount?
Oh, I know. We unfortunately weren't able to get one in time for that. I had pushed for it, but it just wasn't feasible in the schedule. I still want to see if we can retroactively get one in there.
Oh, I'm sure you'd make a lot of people very happy with that. And I also have to say, because I'm being told to, that Utlith is the best raid leader ever born. All right.
I believe it.
Sure. We decree it official.
There you go. Truer words have never been spoken, though.
Did you or anyone else in the chat have any more questions? We could do just like a wrap-up Q&A. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Sure, we can do something like that. I'm gonna wrap up with these guys in chat and everything. So if anybody in Twitch chat does have a question, just fire it off, and if you guys want to pick it out of the chat, and then I'll wrap up with these guys.
Sure. I can vamp a little bit as well.
Nice.
If you aren't following us on Facebook or Twitter, please do that as well. You'll find us on LOTRO on both of those things as well. Do we have a new class coming? I haven't heard of any plans to do a new class in the near future, but, never say never on any of that kind of thing. Oh, what's our favorite named mob? Jeez, I don't know. Do you have a favorite named mob, Pinion?
Ooh, that's a toughie. Let me think. I probably do have one. I'm just trying to think back.
I like Torah Hamas.
Low cost, while you're thinking about that, is there a possibility of cross realms? I'm assuming by cross realms, maybe you mean cross server play? That is not something that is likely just due to technical considerations. If that's what you're asking for. But if you're asking for something else, then I don't know.
I would imagine that's exactly what it is.
Yep. Any plans on making more named items? Yes.
That's an easy one.
Yes.
I would assume that we will be making more named items in the future. Yes.
Well, yeah. I always want us to tie lore into our items, so that would be great. Let's see. I think I'm gonna go with Mordrimbor.
That's a classic. Let's see. Let me ask these guys if there's anything they would like to ask, just out of courtesy for coming on here and being an awesome raid group here.
Shout out to Slazgers, watching from Switzerland. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Oh, Forlong's great too. It's so hard to pick just one. I really liked the Blackroot Vale brothers too.
Unsure on the question about being able to make an Uruk-hai. I assume looking at PVMP there.
Oh, you mean a free people Urkai? No, I don't think that'll ever be happening.
Roamer. So Kanithi is actually in both kins. He's been a big supporter on the Twitch streams, and just in all cat here. I'll just put it in the chat. Hold on. There you go. That is all.
Yes. We too like cosmetic
Noted.
pets and decorations. I would not be surprised if we revisited that and offered more in the future.
Okay, I've got a couple things in my raid chat here. Tier 3 when. Let's see. Just please keep the raids coming to the devs. Really like this particular one a lot. There's a question just around the corruption removal you mentioned earlier. The set bonus on removing bonus corruptions, it has a chance to remove another corruption, but not a tier, making it what they're saying, making it useless for Unbroken One.
Huh. That's unfortunate. Okay. I will make a note of that because it was meant to make that fight easier in particular.
That is very interesting.
Can we get more outside housing spots for stuff?
In the new houses or old houses?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because I wouldn't be me necessarily either way, but that would be good to know.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty happy with the state of premium housing right now, but
yeah,
we're also always interested in the kind of things that you guys are interested in. So if we see enough interest in perhaps offering more outside housing spots, and it's something that we can, bring, never know.
Something kind of had popped up. I saw it a little while back in one of my other streams, and it was around the group content and a lot of talk about kinships and kind of the purpose behind a kinship is you kind of get your like-minded players together, and so you can do that. And so I don't know if you guys have probably seen that thread that was very, very well written. Was it Galahad that wrote it? It was a couple years ago. It's a fairly old thread now.
Sure. That thread gets tweeted to LOTRO on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah.
Yes, we are aware of the kinship want thread. Who knows, right? We're always, like I say, the amount of things that ultimately everyone in the community wants us to do is kind of a untenable prospect, but we're always looking to see, prioritize things as we can. So who knows? We don't have any immediate plans to, say, further expand, kinship properties like that, but it's certainly something we can look at in the future.
Okay. And then let me see. I think I have.
Are we going back to Eriador content-wise? Again, this is a never say never thing, although certainly in the short term, we're going to be pretty busy with Mordor.
Yeah, that's one thing you guys have touched on in the past is, would you rather us revamp old stuff or bring you new stuff? And I mean, I think for probably the vast majority of people, that answer is fairly obvious. A lot of people want new stuff. I mean, it's not to say some things would be cool to see polished up a bit, but I, for one, would always like to see new stuff. But that might be just because I have 11 105s. Where'd that go? Tell the devs that on behalf of the raid community, we love the new raid and that we're all very happy they brought the raid back again into the game.
Yeah, we're definitely not done with raiding. We haven't announced our plans for 2017 here, but we will have some kind of group content in 2017. In terms of what exact form that's going to be, we'll just have to kind of stay tuned on that.
I have.
Yeah, and thank you for the very kind words about it. I'm super glad that everybody's enjoying it. That's so great to hear.
This is probably like a system thing as well. Just from hearing you guys talk about it. There's a comment. Actually, I'll just copy it in there so you can also see it.
While you're copying, DevDoor says, can we have basically more featured instances in the rotation cycle? There is going to be a little bit of tweaking of featured instances in 19.2, I believe. I think, or was that actually in 19.1.1 here that we swapped out one of the raids?
I think that was 19.1.1.
Yeah.
I think the original design was to keep the number in the rotation fairly small and then just sub them out. So I don't think we're planning, at least to my knowledge, to expand how many are in the rotation, but we'll definitely keep changing what ones are in the rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that question was just that crit heal chance to the crit mouse over, because you can't actually see what your healing crit is.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to follow up on that with some other folks.
Sure. Well, I think that has got me all cleared up through my chat. And looks like we're pretty good from the Twitch side of things. So I guess that's going to just about do it for us. So I want to again thank the kinship from Arkansas. We got this -1. Gotta have that emphasis there. For coming in and supporting this show tonight and being very willing. I know a lot of these guys are staying up super late or very early in the morning for them, because we got a lot of folks from around the world and being in here to participate in this. I really wanted to have a good showing and just really showcase the work that you guys did, and so that more people could be exposed to it and see, because some people might not know what this looks like. They might not tell them to fix our name. Take the -1 off our name.
Nice.
Yeah, so I want to thank these guys for doing that, and certainly Cordovan, Pinion, thank you guys for coming on. I know it's very late. I'm on the same time zone as you guys, so I know it's very late, but I certainly do appreciate you guys coming on here. I know the community loves hearing from you guys, and anytime we have an opportunity to do something like this, I want to look at that and bring you guys on, and hope you guys enjoy doing stuff like this. And
yeah, this was great. Thank you for having us.
Yep, thanks for having us on, and I'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thanks, Jerry. And Pinion, good to talk to you for the first time, and I hope we can talk again sometime soon.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, man. Well,
Thanks
have a good
again.
evening.
You too.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.
All right. All right, cool. So let me just do this. So on that note, guys, I hope you guys had fun. You know what? Actually, we're going to go back to that one. There we go. All right. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this. We were able to do Throne of the Dread Terror Tier 1. We had Cordovan, our community manager, and Pinion, one of the content designers for Lord of the Rings Online, in with us here. And yeah, I had fun actually doing the raid again. I've been jumping in some Tier 2 stuff recently and getting acclimated with that again. And but always good to do some Tier 1 content and just have some fun. So I would like any feedback that you do have regarding the show or my other live streams. Feel free to email me. I do have just kind of a chill emails, this bloodbornmmo@gmail.com. If you want to throw some feedback that way, let me know. Nasty, we both have blue eyes. All right, that's what's up. Gotta have them blue eyes. So yeah, with that, I'm gonna head out for the evening. You can catch me all week. By the way, we are gonna be doing on my channel this month, starting tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot of giveaways. We've got quad pack expansions. to give away. We've got Helm's Deep expansions to give away, and we've got some Turbine points to give away. It's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the rest of this month. So tell all your friends, tell your kinmates, let them know what's going on, and you can find me on twitch.tv/Bludborn. So I hope you guys have a good rest of the night, and I will see you all soon. Take care.